Guinea has voted, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time since the coup in 2021. December 28th was when the country finally went back to the polls. Once again, Doumbouya wasn't supposed to be on the ballot. But guess what? He happens to be the man in charge and therefore made changes to the constitution to allow him to do so. And now, Guinea has voted. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Guinea, by the way, is 15.1 million population, and 6.7 million were eligible to vote. And what's shocking in the election is the level of voter turnout, ladies and gentlemen. Whereas most African countries see an average election turnout of between 50 to 60%, Guinea had a whooping 85% voter turnout. 85% of 6.7 million eligible voters showed up to vote, ladies and gentlemen. This is no small feat. The Guinean people were really fired up for this election, and every major media house in and out of Guinea suggests General Doumbouya is going to win. But according to the law of the Electoral Commission of Guinea, the director of the commission has within 72 hours, which is 3 days, to declare the results of the election from the moment the elections are concluded. The votes were cast on the 28th of December. Today is 30th of December, which means by the end of tomorrow, 31st December, the results must be announced. Ladies and gentlemen, another military man is about to mount the presidential podium in Africa. Assimi Goïta has mounted. Abdurrahman Tchiani has mounted. The leader of men, Ibrahim Traoré, has mounted. And in the next few days, ladies and gentlemen, Doumbouya will be mounting. It appears this is the era of soldiers. And you ask yourself, why are soldiers toppling governments and taking over in Africa? Why? And the answer is glaring. The change people expect isn't happening. People are not seeing the changes. The political class is corrupted at the top. The corruption is personified at this point. They loot without the fear of God. Have you bothered to inquire of the budget politicians allocate for the construction of roads and bridges in Africa? The other day, I saw a government school project in Ghana, which is supposed to be completed in 5 years ago. And the budget I saw for that project was good enough, big enough, to build 5 of those schools. And yet, that particular school was still not completed till today. This is what is triggering soldiers into picking up arms. They see the corruption. They have intel of what's coming in and going out. And they know these people at the very top have no good intentions for their countries. I mean, take a look at Guinea. Guinea holds the record for the world's largest proven reserves of bauxite. There is no country under the sun that has more discovered reserves of bauxite than Guinea in the world. Guinea alone accounts for 1/3 of the global bauxite reserves. And that is the main raw material for making aluminium and all that is produced from it. Guinea has it in abundance. But Guinea is officially classified as a least developed country by the United Nations, meaning their per capita income is amongst the lowest globally. They have a large share of their population living in life-threatening poverty. They have extremely limited infrastructure and industries and ranks low on the UN Human Development Index. Ladies and gentlemen, what I just said was about bauxite, but right below bauxite, the reserves of bauxite is gold, iron ore, and diamond reserves, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the wealthiest international mining companies are situated there in Guinea. Everybody is benefiting except the people and the state. Before Doumbouya took over in 2021, let me blow your mind with this. All that the country had were some stakes in the bauxite mines. They never were a majority owner of any of those mines. Every foreign country had the upper hand, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't until this year the Guinean military government, led by Doumbouya, revoked the mining concessions of some foreign companies and transferred ownership into a state-funded company. Ladies and gentlemen, the same issues that made Traore and Goita remove their government are the same stories, the same issues that brought in Doumbouya. Our own country heads have become agents for foreign companies. Our own presidents become agents for foreign companies. They help them win power, and then they also turn over all our resources to them. And you wonder why soldiers are taking arms. This trend, in my estimation, isn't stopping anytime soon, so long as these issues persist. If there is going to be a stop to military takeovers in Africa, it has to begin with the decisions politicians are making with our resources. The vast majority of the bauxite in Guinea are still there in the ground, for your information. Australia is mining hers. They are mining their bauxite for their development. China, Brazil, and India are all making massive use of their raw bauxite, except for the country that has it the most. If Guinea's election results turn out to declare Doumbouya as president, ladies and gentlemen, this is all he has to focus on: the bauxite, the gold, and the iron ore. He will need to find the courage to do what Traore is doing. He has to take over ownership of as many idle mines as possible, ladies and gentlemen. And there are many idle mines in Guinea which are registered in some foreign companies' names, doing nothing, sitting there doing nothing. You have to have the courage to take ownership of those mines and bring together the technical teams alongside the military to embark on how to run them, just as Traore is doing. China is the world's largest buyer of bauxite and aluminium products. You can sell to them. The product is needed in China, and Guinea itself needs it. Guinea needs to develop it for itself as well. Guinea has a big country. Let nobody lie to you. Guinea is bigger than Ghana and the Ivory Coast. They just have a smaller population. But let me shock you with this devastating fact. Let me shock you with this. Did you know that according to the CIA World Fact Book for the year 2024, Guinea has a total road network of about 44,301 kilometers. Let that sink in. I said 44,301 kilometers of roads in all of Guinea, of which roughly only 3,346 kilometers are paved. Folks, listen to what I just said. 44,000 plus of roads are to be constructed, with only 3,000 plus of those roads are paved. That's like 7.5% of the total road network only of Guinea's paved roads. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have any idea how many people have died because they couldn't get to the clinic early enough due to bad or unavailable roads in Guinea? Meanwhile, Guinea is one of the earliest countries in Africa to gain their independence. They had their independence in 1958. It's been 67 years already, and all they have done is 7.5% of their total roads. So let me ask you, year on year, how many kilometers of roads were added? What have they been doing, their president and leaders, have they been doing in the last 67 years, ladies and gentlemen? If this is the start for roads in 67 years in Guinea, what do you think are the start for hospitals, schools, and jobs for the people in that time frame in Guinea? Ladies and gentlemen, you can look at coups anyhow you want, but when the thing isn't working, the people will look for alternatives. And I'm not insinuating that the coups will automatically bring about the needed development. No, that's not what I'm saying. But Africa is seeing what Traore is doing with his coup, ladies and gentlemen, and perhaps, who knows, that something like that may happen in Guinea under Doumbouya. Who knows? You have to know that people are running out of patience in Africa. Politicians across Africa have to understand that the people aren't satisfied with how things have been so far on this continent. And if they feel they cannot get you out by the ballots, they may attempt a coup. Ladies and gentlemen, Doumbouya came in by the gun and has changed the constitution to run for president. This is the new strategy. And now, No African country is immune from experiencing this. What politicians have to do is to stop wasting everybody's time and get to work. Ladies and gentlemen, politicians in Africa, it's time for you to get to work. I'm Cyrus, and this is Tuntum Network in Accra, Ghana. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell for more of my videos. I wish the people of Guinea all the best, and I'll see you in the next one. It is bye-bye for now.